Welcome to my little corner of the internet. I am BB Morgan, also Beatrice B. Morgan, and I am celebrating the release of my 15th book. It's coming out on October 25th, The Blood Enchantress, adult romantasy with vampires. And I am celebrating by doing a bunch of these little videos to kind of give you a little sneak peek into what it's like to be me, the author, how I write, what I write, the things that I do while I write, the things that get me going, those fun things. And today I wanted to list the 5, make sure I'm in camera, and I'm not, the 5 stories that without them, I probably wouldn't be an author. Like the stories, the worlds, the cast of characters that have basically made me who I am. The stories that sucked me in and spit me back out. The earliest stories, or I guess this is a TV show that I used to watch, and it was Darkwing Duck. And I say this with all seriousness. I loved this show so much. I don't know what it was about it. I can't even tell you anything about the show other than he was a duck. He was a superhero. He was basically Batman, but it was all ducks. It was like in the same universe as like DuckTales. And there was one tall duck named Launchpad that was in like 4 other shows also. It didn't make any sense to me at the time. Now I understand that it was a multiverse and it's fine. Darkwing Duck, loved it. It was on at 9:30 when I was young, when I watched it, when it was my favorite show. I remember this very specifically, that it was on at 9:30 because my bedtime was at 9:30. So I very rarely got to stay up and watch it. And this was back in the day of like, we did not have streaming. If you wanted to watch a show, you had to be sitting in front of the television when it was on, or you didn't get to watch it. We recorded shows, and I was too young to say, record this for me, please. Because I was the 3rd child, and I was on the bottom of the hierarchy when it came to who got to watch TV. Darkwing Duck was the one show that I got to watch because it was my favorite. I can't tell you anything like about it, who, villains, plot. He was a duck. He was a superhero. He did things. He did cool things. Saved the day. Saved the whole city. And his name was Mallard, which I discovered later is a type of duck. I'm sure I missed all kinds of duck puns. Number 2. I keep forgetting that I can't do 2. So number 2, in no particular order, the Teen Titans, specifically the 2006 animated version of the Teen Titans. I keep making sure that I'm in frame and my finger's not like over here and I'm pointing and you're just seeing my arm. It's real late. I probably should have stopped at the last video, but no, I can't do that. The 2006, the Teen Titans. I have all 5 seasons on DVD somewhere. I have them all. That is one of the very few shows that I actually was like, no, I want this show on my shelf. I need this in my life. And because it was like the first show that I was like just obsessed with. This is the first what do I want? Foyer. This is the show that got me into reading fan fiction. Because I didn't know fan fiction was a thing. And then I was like, oh god, you're wandering around the internet, then you find it and it's like, what is this? I can't tell you how much fan fiction I devoured. A lot. Didn't write it. I was not writing it yet. Too young. I tried. It didn't go anywhere. I was too young. My brain didn't wrap around the concept of like how to write a story. But I loved the whole cast of characters, how they were like individuals, but they were like living in the tower together, and how they all had their unique stories, and like all the villains. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I can honestly say that if I had not watched that show, I would not be the writer I am today. I would not be the same person. I also watched Digimon. I have completely forgot about it until just now. It was not on my list, my original list of 5 things. But I watched that show. I don't remember how old I was. It was past Darkwing Duck. Because it was on Saturday mornings on Fox. And I remember setting alarms to get up in time to watch this show. Because it was my favorite. Again, you had like the cast of characters. And they all had to go save the world and go on adventures. So there's a theme, I think, in all of these And before you ask, no, I did not watch Pokemon. Don't know. I don't know what channel it was on. It was not a channel I watched. Again, I was on the bottom of the hierarchy. There were 5 people ahead of me. There were 4 people. No. No, there were 4 people above me that got to watch TV first, okay? So I had to be selective. And everyone else was asleep on Saturday morning, so I got to watch Digimon. And some random episodes of Beyblade. I didn't like that one. But moving on. The next story that very greatly shaped me as a writer and how I tell stories, Dragon Age. The whole I haven't played the latest one that came out. I've only played 1, 2, and then the Inquisition. But specifically 1 and 2 were the games that I played consistently and almost obsessively. I love them so much. How the world was built. You had the mages, you had the knights, and they hated each other because magic was corruption. But like you had the knights, so we're also kind of like so far one way. Then you had the mages who were like over here, like so far in the other way, and there was blood magic. And I love just like the dynamic that it created between like the mages who just wanted to exist. You had the blood mages that were doing the bad stuff, and you had the knights that were like, we can all live in peace. But you had the knights who were like, no, we can't. Magic is evil. We have to like throw everyone in the Tower of Magi. And then you had all the other stuff going on. You had the elves and all like their ancient history. Or the dwarves that they did stuff too. I think dwarves were my favorite. But I just loved the world building that was in those games and how you could replay that game and find new stuff every time because the world building was so vast and it was a very unique way to give out a story because like I don't think you could have done that same concept in any other medium of story because you could go find as much lore as you wanted or you could go through that whole game with only the necessary lore. But those games definitely shaped me as a writer. And if you have played Dragon Age and then you go read like my book, the Stars and Bones series, you will definitely see some of those same vibes in that series because I use the same kind of magic is kind of seen as a force that can do good, but it's real dangerous, so we probably shouldn't lock all these people in this this school so we can keep track of them. Of course, there's other things going on. Is that I did Darkwing Duck, Teen Titans, Dragon Age, threw Digimon in there. That was not my original plan. I had 5 when I started. Digimon was not one of them. I don't remember what number 4 was. Skyrim wasn't, although I do really enjoy like the concept of like the Elder Scrolls because you basically just go do whatever you want. But like the story itself didn't impact me that much. Well, whatever number 4 was, I don't remember. I should have written these down, did I? No. But the story I think that has affected me, I almost said the most, but I don't know if that's true or not. It is the franchise that I obsessed with. This is the franchise that got me into fan fiction, like in a writing sense. This is the franchise that I started writing fan fiction for. This was the beginning of my writing journey, and that was How to Train Your Dragon. I loved the movie so much. It is the only movie that I have consecutively watched 3 times in one sitting, like sit there and watch it 3 times, like back to back, because I loved it so much. I still do. Like it's still, I think it will always be one of my, or if my number 1 favorite movie of all time, because it's so good. It's like the story of like the boy and his dog, but it's also, a father-son movie, but then it's also like a friend movie. And it's just got so many moving gears that are moving so perfectly with each other and in unison, and it's they build on each other, and it's so layered, and it's fantastic. I have not seen the live action version. I haven't gone to the movie theaters in a very long time. I don't have anyone to go with. It's expensive. I'll wait till it comes out on like YouTube and I can rent it or something and I'll be fine. Or DVD. This is also one of the few movies that I own on DVD twice. I have all 3 movies. And yes, I have seen every single episode of the cartoon series that they came out with. It was on Cartoon Network. I have seen every single episode multiple times of the Netflix series. It is the entire reason I got Netflix, because that series is on it. And I can remember one of the seasons of the Netflix series that aired, I think it was like 2 a.m. it came out, whatever midnight is in California here. I stayed up to watch the season, but then our internet went out. So I had to watch this entire season on my phone. And I did. I plugged my phone in and I sat down like, I'm going to watch this on my phone. And I did. I don't know if I watched the entire season. I might have watched a good chunk of it because, Netflix, just throws the entire season out at you at once, which is both good and bad, whatever. I was obsessed with this franchise, with these characters, because I loved the cast of characters so much, because they were all so individual. They had their own personalities. They had all these situations that they were unique to them, that they could navigate in their own unique way. And then you had dragons. They were just So yes, I wrote a lot of fan fiction that is How to Train Your Dragon themed, and that is where I got like the first several waves of my awkward writing out. And I think this was back in 2011, if I remember correctly, is when I published my very first fan fiction, and it was not good. I went back and read it. It's been years and years ago. Or I read the first chapter because it just to see, and it's not good. And that I thought it was not good several years ago. So if I look back at it now, I can probably might vomit if it's that bad. It's amazing how far my writing has come since then. But no, that's where I got my awkward writing out the first time. So like that initial learning how to put sentences down and how to put words together in a way, because reading a book and writing a book are 2 different things. If you've never written a book, it's a very weird transition to make when you sit down like, I'm going to write a book for the first time, and then you realize it's not easy. It's weird. It is a franchise that taught me how to write, I guess, how to plan a story out in advance, because there were several fan fictions that I left unfinished. And I hate that. I hate that I left them unfinished. And there was one point where I went back and I read like half of one, because like, no, I'll finish this out. And then I just, that spark for those stories just isn't there anymore. And it's just, I don't want to spend the creative juice on those stories that have very predictable endings when I could use that creative juice for my next book. Because, now that I'm 15 books in, I have learned to strategize with my creative juice. I don't like calling it that. It feels very gross. But I don't know what else to call it. Like that, just the creative fuel that you have. It's like anything else that has like a battery. You only have so much of it that you can use before you have to refill. And you refill by taking a break, by sleeping, by going to work for a week so you can get up on Saturday morning with a full tank and go. But those are the 5 stories. 5 stories. Make sure my hand's in the screen. That shaped me as a writer. And without these franchises, without these shows, I don't think I'd be where I am today. I wouldn't be the same writer. I wouldn't be the same nerd. And I don't know if like other franchises would have taken their place had I not found these specific ones. I don't know. That's just how the cookie crumbled, okay? This is just how it happened. These are the things that I encountered. These are the things that I fell in love with. It's just how it happened. And I do want to give an honorable mention to the Harry Potter series. Don't come at me. This book got me into reading. This is the book that made me want to read on my own outside of school. Say what you want about the series, about the franchises, about the people involved, whatever. The truth of the matter stands that this book series brought an entire generation into reading. There are people who read just because they encountered this book series. I am one of them. And it was the first book that I bought on my own with my own money. It is the first book that I read cover to cover without having to for like AR points in school or something. I remember being in the basement reading The Chamber of Secrets and getting to a certain point and being like, I have no idea what's going on. What is happening? So I stopped and I went back several chapters to like the last point that I remembered where like things were happening, and I reread the book and then I'm like to just understand what was happening because my reading comprehension wasn't high enough. Either that or like I was squirreling and I didn't understand what that meant, and I was like reading but I wasn't taking in any of the information. So I went back and I read. I basically kind of learned to not learn to read. I knew how to read, but I like had to like work on my reading comprehension a little bit. I don't remember how old I was. But that's a fun story. I also wanted to give an honorable mention to Throne of Glass because it kind of did the same thing that the Harry Potter series did for me, but just later. Like I was consistently reading, just not a lot. And then I found Throne of Glass. I have never read a book series so fast. Like I read it was right before or right after Tower of Dawn came out when I discovered this series, and I devoured all the books that were available in this series within like a week. I still to this day I have not read a book series so quickly. I read ACOTAR in like a weekend. I read book 2 and 3 in like a weekend. It was very quick because it was just I didn't know books could be that way. I didn't know books could like just hook you in and just not let you go in that way. And that is the book series that finally though gave me a kick in the butt that I needed to be like, I want to write my book now. So that's kind of the book that made me sit down and well, I had already written Devil's Blood, but I hadn't been toying with this other uh the idea for Stars and Bones, or the idea that would become Stars and Bones, and I just couldn't it wasn't calling to me. I didn't feel like it. And I was at this point where I thought like, oh, is Devil's Blood the only book I'm ever going to write? Is this the only story that I'm ever going to be able to come up with? I was wrong. And I discovered this when I read Throne of Glass, and it was just like brain explosion. Like I didn't know books could be this way. This is amazing. This is the kind of book I want to write. And I did. So I wouldn't say that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Throne of Glass. I might have gotten there eventually with like a different series, but definitely honorable mention. And like that same high that I got from reading Throne of Glass, that is the same high that I am continuously chasing when I'm reading. I'm always looking for that next book that is going to like distract me while I'm working, is going to keep me up at night. Like I'm going to like read on my Kindle until like I literally fall asleep and it hits me in the face. Those books. Those are the books that I want, that I'm hunting continuously. And not every book is one of those books, thankfully, or I don't know, my brain might explode. I wouldn't get anything done. But it is the hunt for that next all night 5-nighter. 5-star all nighter is the words that I meant to say. Okay, that means it's late. I'm fumbling my words, I'm mixing my letters up. So, this has been the 5 stories that have shaped me as a writer. Stay tuned for more little nuggets of information, wisdom into what it's like to be me, to be a writer, and look forward to more information on my next book, my 15th book that is coming out October 15th. No, October 24th. It is my 15th book that is coming out on October 24th. Oh no, see now everything's getting messed up. What day is it? I don't know. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday. Oh, it's Wednesday. It is when I am aware that it is Wednesday. I had this fight with myself about 10 minutes ago. Wednesday. And for a while, I don't remember where that was going.